Hi, Commander Kumar the Far here, and you're listening to Lave Radio. Up next is a track that I wrote based on a true story. It's called Pirates Took My Spaceship. Now, if you want to listen to more stuff that I've written, you can find that at soundcloud.com/KUMARTHEFFAR-1. Oh crap, the bag!
McCrell on 107.8 Black Diamond FM.
Hello out there, Commanders, and welcome to Algarab AM. I'm your host, Commander I Flip the Switch, and this is your one-stop shop for everything there is to do in the wide world of Elite Dangerous, the Algrab system, and, a little bit of...
Welcome to the Fatherhood News Podcast. Please follow us here and subscribe to us on YouTube for your daily news headlines of all the news from the fatherhood space in Elite Dangerous.
Sit back, turn the ship over to your COVAS and relax. We're turning on flight assist. 07 Commanders and welcome in. My name is Commander Psykit.
We read the news, but you don't have to.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders. Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite
And the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous.
And the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from the current Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 382 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in this rather packed orange Sidewinder bar, although this is actually more like the Shenanigans fleet carrier, we have... our Inhuman Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello.
We have on our own carrier, Staff Liaison Officer, Commander Psykit.
If I can get into the bloody game.
Right. And also joining us for this, because our Head of Health and Safety is busy doing health and safety things, we also have our Chief Buckyballer, that'll be Alec Turner.
Good evening, everyone.
And our Head of Steam Engines, Mac Winston.
Hello. Isn't that Peter Wotherspoon?
I thought you both were building up Head of Steam.
Well, yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Right. Now, if you wish, we are in live. We're hanging out in open, either Psykit's carrier or the Shenanigans carrier. Join at your own risk in open in the Lave system. If you cannot get to us in game, you can join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat and go to twitch.tv/laveradio, or go to YouTube and look up Lave Radio, or Facebook and look up Lave Radio. We are there. So I think we will go around our crew and guests and see how they've been for the last week or so. It's been quite an eventful week, so strap yourself in, everybody. So we'll start with Psykit, if that's okay.
Yeah. It can be. It can be. I'll stop farting around with that then. Hi, I'm here. Hi. Sorry. How was my week?
Yes.
Oh man. No, it's been a quiet week, hasn't it? Let's be honest. Not a lot has gone on. It's been really quiet, really uneventful.
Sarcasm works wonders.
I've not been up to that much, if I'm completely honest. I've out of game.
Yes.
Not a lot at all. It's been a really, really quiet week. Exactly. Those crickets, I love it. In game, I've been mostly fart-arsing about. I made a stupid decision to try and make a Corvette, but for the racing skin. So a speedy Corvette. So I'm kind of halfway through that. Yeah. And other than that, I did the No Man's Sky expedition. That was fun. And then today I've been playing in Update 11.
Yes.
And that's about it, really.
Lots of Update 11 stuff is going to be happening today, I think. Right. We will move on to Shan. So you finished.
Did I mention that Shan reminds me of Zippy off Rainbow?
If you say it, no one has to drink. Yes, I finished the expansion. I finished the main story of the expansion. I've still got, obviously, there's a ton more to do, but you know. So I tried Elden Ring because Eldest Mini Shan was been raving about it. I tried Elden Ring for about an hour and just hated the control system because it's been directly ported from a console. And yes, you can play it with a controller, okay, but I really can't get on. I really don't like controllers. So I tried remapping the keys, and just nothing felt intuitive about the control method. So I got a refund on it, much to so instead I brought Mass Effect Legendary Edition because I have never played Mass Effect properly.
You haven't? Oh, well, as long as you can get through the first game, it's brilliant. But you need to start from the very beginning.
Yeah, that's what I've done. I've started from scratch, and I'm working my way through it slowly. And because I just wanted something single player and a bit RPG-ish, so I started Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah,
it's better looking than I remember, which was good. And
it's supposed to be.
I would probably say it's actually better looking than Andromeda because it hasn't got the googly random eyes of Andromeda.
I thought they fixed that in the end.
Well, I got it when they had the googly random eyes and stopped playing it, so we'll see. But anyway, so I've been doing that. Out of game, I have been F5ing overclockers. Other computer stores are available, of course, waiting for news of my new computer shipping, which should be arriving tomorrow. So I will have a fun day tomorrow building my new PC and copying everything over. And what else has been going on? Hobbs is now better, so he's now eating everything in his path, including trying to eat Calvin.
Right.
And that's about it.
Well, okay. Right, we'll turn over to and jump over the Irish Sea to the Isle of Man and ask Mac Winston, how have you been?
Very good. I've got COVID. So,
okay,
anyway.
Good start.
And on that,
but I've pretty much it's just been the sniffles so far. My missus has COVID too. She's got a bit of a cough, but other than that, we're just fine. I mean, we're triple vaxxed, so I mean,
yeah.
Other than that, I've been doing some synth tech again. I fitted a Kiwi 106 Mile Juno 106 synthesizer and repaired a few other things. Changed all the buttons which had gone faulty on it. So I had my solder sucker out. Changed a couple of chips that had got noisy. So yeah, I've been having fun with that. Other random stuff. Oh yeah, I installed Debian Linux on a old Mac Pro that's long out of support. So I had a bit of fun trying to get that to work, but it works now. So I have another machine. So yeah, it's other than that, because we still have to self-isolate. If you got COVID, you still have to self-isolate here for 10 days or until 2 negative tests. And I haven't tested negative yet. The last time I did it, I did an LFT last night, and the test line was like the reddest I've seen. It was like really deep angry red. But anyway, it seems I've had worse colds, so it doesn't. Fortunately, it seems I'm doing okay. and we're both doing okay since we both have it. So anyway, hopefully it'll be gone soon, and we'll be able to be allowed outside again. Until then, I'm just forced to play video games basically.
Oh no! What a hardship! Oh no!
I know. So. It's yeah. Well, we'll move on to Mr. Buckyball himself, Alec Turner. How are you, sir?
I'm sitting at a bar. This is really exciting.
I'm sat next to you.
Yeah, I've been all right. Actually, I'm slightly ahead of Mac in that I had COVID and then recovered from it. I had 0 symptoms whatsoever, but it did take the full 10 days before I started testing negative. You know, they sort of say you can have 2 negative tests after 5 days and you're allowed out again. But no, took the full 10 days. One word of warning, which is what happened to me was then I had a week of feeling fine and all testing negative and all tickety-boo, and then I had the worst case of the runs I have ever had, which lasted about 8 days.
Oh, lovely.
The good old explosive bowel syndrome.
Yeah, and I subsequently read that it is a thing which they're researching into, which is that COVID can sit dormant in your gut, and you test negative, and it just sits there, and then about a week later, your gut decides it doesn't like it very much. So watch out for that. You may have a little bonus surprise headed your way.
Again, we have now gone into old men complaining about.
Sorry, yes, I should not do that. Yeah, in game, I have been prepping far too early, really, for the next Buckyball race, which starts on Saturday. Doing a little bit of route planning and a little bit of practicing, and yeah.
Oh shit! That's Saturday.
It is. Start Saturday. It's a good one. This. Maybe we'll talk more about it later, don't we? But yeah, it's looking forward to
Is this the one where you have to do SRV fliving?
It is. There is 13 kilometres of SRV travel involved.
I better learn how to do that then. And I just walked onto Shan's bar, and the bartender is a midget.
Never ever do that again.
Are they? I'll sack them.
Oh, right.
Give you a minute, I'll sack them.
But yes, that was my week. Buckyball practice.
Excellent. Well, let's see. I have done a couple of decent streams over the weekend. Thanks to everybody who kept me company. It's quite nice to actually be out in the black and being able to talk to somebody. That's always makes a change. However, I did discover, and I don't know how this passed me by, out of game, I discovered Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which is a turn-based ship-to-ship combat game with hints of XCOM. And yeah, how the heck? I mean, they stopped doing this game in 2020. So basically, all the DLCs and all that are out. But how the heck this game passed me by, I have no idea. And yeah, I wasted a lot of time with that over the weekend. Apart from that, we've cut a tree down. So the bunny is coming out into his garden and going, I'm sure there was a tree here. There's a massive tree here, I'm sure of it. So we've confused the bunny.
Is this the Xeno bunny?
Well, he is the bunny, not a Xeno bunny. This is an ongoing thing. Like and subscribe. Where did that come from?
Yeah, there's lots of sound bites being played.
Weird. So, now that we've gone round with everybody, obviously, for tonight's activity, you can pop either onto Psykit's carrier or Shan's carrier and see at least one of us. And if we can see you, we will wave. But the development news. Now, what have the devs said this week? Right. Settle in. Obviously, on Wednesday, we got the announcement that Update 11 was delayed yet again because we were expecting it to be last Tuesday and nothing happened. And then everyone got excited because we saw people sat down on a picture that came out on Wednesday. So there was a little bit of grumbling about the fact that the update 11 was going to be delayed. And then everybody forgot about that grumbling. Because on Thursday, that was the day that David Braben got on the forums himself and announced that due to reasons, the console version development was going to be stopped. And how should we put this? The reaction has been both outrageous and sad, I think is the best way to describe this. It is a hard one to call, to be honest, and no doubt we'll be getting into that quite a lot in a minute. So, moving on from there, obviously Friday, there was a problem with the Colonia Bridge Brewers Cup decal, which won't install. And then finally, on Monday, we got our first proper communication this year from Zach about the Discovery scanner. And it touched on a whole load of little things, which again, we'll touch on in a minute. And of course, today we've had the patch notes that have suddenly arrived. So, overall, one of the busiest weeks we've had in a while. So, I don't know where to really start with this. Let us start at the very beginning, which I think will have to be the console update. Right. Let's go into it in full detail. It's something that they have said it's with a heavy heart. And Elite Dangerous is close to my heart and all that kind of stuff. And they've said that they will not be bringing the Xbox and the PS4 into the Odyssey world. So, and as far as they're concerned, that's the end of any other console development. Now, they haven't been clear whether or not the entire game's going into maintenance mode with nothing happening, or whether or not you'll still get the Galnet news and the any space-based CGs and that kind of thing going forward. So, right. Let's quickly go around and get everybody's initial reaction to this. I think we'll start with let's start with Psykit.
Oh God.
I know.
Well, the same as everyone's. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a commander that was like, yeah, you know what? Sod them. They don't deserve. That's like nobody's going to feel like that. It was an absolute blow, and it sucked.
Yeah, and there's no way to sugarcoat it in any way, because apparently we have lost. 20% of the player base will not be able to progress on Odyssey, which is a shame. Okay, Shan.
Yeah, I mean, I must say I do empathise what Sai was saying, but to be fair, the announcement came as no surprise to me personally. What I will say though is, and I'm sorry if you get a bit thing about this, there was completely no question that Frontier developers and CMs worked their bums off trying to get it to work. I am absolutely convinced they didn't just go, nah, won't be bothered with that, we'll tell them in a year's time. I suspect what they did is they tried and tried and tried and tried to get it working on last generation consoles. And then either it was too hard or the amount of money it would take would be too much, the timescales would be too late. They had to reluctantly cancel it. So, and I think they actually went further than a lot of other games companies would do trying to get it to work. So I would just want to say thank you for your hard work. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, but your hard work is appreciated. The other side of the coin, though, is again the senior management communications issues let them down. Because personally, what I would have done is I would have held off for another month or two, let them investigate whether or not transfers are possible or not. So you can say, yeah, we hate doing this. Consoles aren't going to be developed anymore. However, you will be able to transfer your commander in its entirety over to the PC. So that kind of takes the stuff you on your own aspect away. The other thing I want to mention is, I think one thing people need at the moment, and update 11 helps, but we kind of knew that was coming, is I think we need to see where they're heading to inspire us to say, yeah, there's still active development. We can look forward to engineering updates or new ships or whatever it is in a roadmap. And because when you deliver bad news, you have to have good news as well. Otherwise, everyone just gets grumpy and sad.
Yeah, it's not great. Okay, Alec, you guys have got quite a lot with the invested in the Buckyball Club. I mean,
yeah, I mean, just generally, I think.
drivers.
Yeah, I think just generally, I would say echo the same as everyone else. In some ways, it's not a surprise, but it kind of was a surprise, even though we suspected it was happening. When you actually see it in black and white, it's still quite a blow, isn't it? And I feel deeply for console players. I'm seeing lots of very heartfelt messages of people leaving, and I get it. You know, they can still play the game in theory. I suspect CGs will continue. I suspect, or some of them, and I suspect Galnet will continue. But in their heart of hearts, they know they're playing a game that isn't going to develop and evolve, and they're going to get left behind. So yeah, I get it. Two thoughts I wanted to say actually. So Shan mentioned about account transfers, and in fact, there've been a few questions asked. I mean, on the original forum thread, people asked about account transfers. People asked what it actually meant for the PC build. When is the merge going to happen? Are PC players still going to see the old planets, or are they only quite soon maybe only going to see the new planets? Will CGs and Galnet run on console? There's loads of questions, and I kind of wonder how long Frontier have really known that this was coming. I kind of feel it's been a while, and I really am a bit very disappointed in them that they don't have the answers to these questions. It seems extraordinary that people are asking these questions, and they're going, "We'll look into that." It's like, how could you not have had those answers prepped and ready to go?
Yeah. I mean,
and the other thing on account transfers, there was a very interesting point made on guard frequency today, which is that account transfers may not simply be a technical difficulty or even a technical difficulty. It could well be a more of a sort of legal agreement, because I guess Sony and Microsoft respectively kind of own those commanders, their account details, and they don't necessarily want to let them go. If those console commanders choose to buy ARCs, Sony and Microsoft respectively, they take their little cut of that. So there's nothing in them particularly. There's nothing in it for them, to let those commanders go. So Frontier may well be negotiating with those two companies to try and wrangle a legal deal to get that data, to get that account data. I very much doubt that transferring.
Frontier own the IP, there, don't they?
They own the IP, but there must be some sense in which Microsoft and Sony kind of have a vested interest in those accounts staying with. Anyway, I don't know enough about it, but I could believe that's the thing.
I thought that the accounts all really stayed with Frontier, but there was a linking mechanism to link the Xbox account or the Sony account to the Frontier account.
Maybe.
But
yeah. Anyway, and the only other thing I wanted to say is that the one thing I feel most strongly about this the cancellation of console development is it's basically an admission of defeat. Like Shan, I think the developers have been working for 6 months trying to optimize Odyssey, and this is basically an admission of defeat. This is them saying we can't do it. We failed. I would be very surprised if they didn't have some kind of benchmarking test rig, or even maybe a very crude console build where they were able to run the Odyssey code and gauge whether it performed well enough or not. And I think they've just finally had to admit defeat, which is difficult. I'm a software developer, and given enough time, you can make a computer do anything. I have no doubt that it is theoretically possible to get Odyssey to run on consoles. But what I suspect is that they've rather backed themselves into a dead end with the way the code was written. And what they've been doing over the last 6 months is kind of piecemeal optimizations, chipping 5% off here, 10% off there. I suspect the code needed a rewrite.
And if it gets to a case where you have to do a rewrite and all you're doing is you've created a new custom client to talk to the same old
And after 6 months of choosing to try and optimize rather than going, this isn't going to work, let's rewrite it. They're at a dead end and they've had to admit defeat. That's my main takeaway, really.
I mean, I'm going to come to Mac next, but Mac, you had an interesting point about why they were only going to be concentrating on the PS4 and the Xbox, and not come out with a new version for the PS5 and Xbox X.
Right. What I understand, what I understand the case to be is because Odyssey is DLC. It's officially DLC. It's not a new game. It has to run on the same platforms as the original. So you've essentially got this 2022 game with all the extra graphical stuff, which no matter how much you optimize it, is going to require extra performance. Essentially tacked on to a game from when did Elite release now? 2015 was it?
Yes.
2014, I think.
2014, late 2014, December 2014. So the trouble is, now I'm sure it would run just fine on one of the next gen consoles, but unfortunately, it has to work on the previous gen because it's a DLC, and that's part of the deal. If it's a DLC, you have to support the generation the main game is actually on. You can't just make the DLC only for next gen only. That is what I understand the case to be, which means they've really got their work cut out because the last gen consoles, I mean, they're pretty, even compared to a low end PC today, they're kind of a bit on the weak side. I mean, what's the equivalent, like the stuff that the Elite Dangerous runs on currently? I mean, what kind of graphics card is it equivalent to in the PC world?
And 970 or something.
Yeah, it's not even GTX 980. So it's it would be anything that's like new and is more graphically intensive, more CPU intensive because it's new and the horizons have expanded. To not try and intentionally make a pun out of that, it's going to be a big challenge to get it to work on the previous gen stuff, just because you're trying to make it work on something that I know on the PC is barely the minimum hardware spec. So I think they're kind of boxed in a bit by that, and player numbers have they've always been a bit disappointing on console. I mean, you've got 2 console platforms, it's only 20% of the player base. So from a business point of view, you're thinking we're going to expend this huge amount of effort for a very small player base, and we're probably not going to get at most, you're only going to get a percentage of those actually buying the expansion. So there isn't really much revenue potential in there. So I think basically those two things have basically boxed them in a bit, and they've now it's just a business decision they've had to take, and I just hope, because I had it running on my MacBook Pro back when there was a Mac version, so it was a bit annoying when the Mac version went away, but I mean I could dual boot Windows to get around that. But So I can understand, and of course with the Mac version we didn't have the issue because it was a shared, the Mac people playing Mac were in the same universe as people playing on PC, so we didn't have the problem with accounts being separated on different servers. But one would hope that one of their database admins could write a script that would, because obviously there's going to be issues with things like database keys and what have you, because as I understand it, on the console the player database is entirely separate to the player database on PC, and on the two consoles have different databases. So all the information, all the key data. I don't know what database technology they use, but there'll be some form of identities with all this data. Would all have to be redone to fit into the already existing PC database. Yeah. So, but that's something you could write a script to do. Now, whether they decide it's a business decision worth doing, I would say it is, because they will avoid burning a lot more goodwill if they can make an easy process where they can press a button and just transfer your data to PC. Yeah. Anyway,
but as Alec was saying, there might be legal complications attached to that. So it's something that they have said, yes, we're looking into. But I think a lot of us are just going, yeah, it's something you're looking into. Maybe it could have been a good idea to have something ready if you're going to break this bad news, but
maybe look into it a month ago.
Right, we'll go back to Shan.
Interesting comment, Hootie. One thing I just want to pick up in chat quickly is, in this instance, I don't think the CMs have anything to do with this news. I think their hands were tied because they can only say what they're told to say. So please don't blame the CMs like ARP and Co. like that, or have a go at them. Don't have a go at them anyway, but you know what I mean. Because the impression I got when I spoke to them at the other week was they were very much being told what they can say and what they can't say by higher ups. And I suspect it's the communication plan from the higher ups that has caused a lot of the salt. Personally, I don't think it was the CMs at all. I think they worked just as hard. In fact, I know they worked just as hard as the devs to try and please people. So there was that. The other question I was going to ask, though, for you guys is, would it have surprised you if they'd have actually released the console version, or were you more expecting the bad news? I.e., did this come as a surprise?
To tell you, right, I'll start with that one first. For me, no, because I think I realized about update 8 that they weren't making as much progress with the performance as we'd hoped. And at that point, I think at update 8, I just thought they'll never squeeze this into the Xbox, because it struggled on my machine, and my machine's a lot better than an Xbox spec. And yeah, I know everyone said it's got a unified hardware and it's easier to develop for, but it's still you kind of got this kind of gut feeling as a developer. You just thought, it's not going to fit. And so I've been expecting this news for a while. I think the reason that they went radio silent now is obviously that they were trying one last push to resolve it. And we know that from the Twitter of Dr. Ross, when she left Frontier, she said that they were working on the Xbox version, the console version, at the same time as the PC version. So it's not something that they thought, right, let's get the PC version out the way first, then port it. It was something they were actively doing at the same time. So yeah, not a surprise, unfortunately. Psykit, you surprised?
Oh, I wish I could say yes. It's I get the impression, my impression as to why there's no alternative or no alternative account transfer is potentially twofold, and this is just completely the sort of like vibe that I'm getting. I know from experience of people who have been working on projects that were pulled and they were still working on it literally the day before. So my personal gut instinct is that this information came down from exec. Braben put his post out, and Arthur and the team were like, no, we want to have we want to explore other ways in which that we can transfer accounts over and things like that. And by that point they'd already gone like, we're binning it off. We're not doing the console thing. We're going to make an announcement now so that the streams come back. That is the impression that I get from it. That might not be the case at all.
Yeah, it might be so. It might be a surprise, but then that comes back to why didn't the people who made the decision think, oh, we know there's going to be pushback. Let's have a proper plan and delay the announcement by a month or so, because it really wouldn't have mattered if they said now or a month's time.
Well, apart from the fact that the vitriol would have been even more because it's an extra month potentially. That said, I don't know whether they thought that there would be quite as many people who would want to transfer the accounts. I feel like they were, like, to some extent, they looked at the numbers and were prepared to just, with the best will in the world, to just lose that console player base. And what was there was already sufficient. That's my gut. I might be entirely wrong on that.
Well, that's even more worrying, isn't it?
Well, people have transferred accounts before, haven't they? People transfer accounts all the time from console to thing. But they still use that medium that it already exists. So from an executive perspective, let's say the board sits down and go, well, it's already a thing that people can transfer accounts, so we'll cancel console. Do you see where I'm coming from with this? I'm trying to be a little bit negative.
Well,
I know, right?
Actually, Mac, just thinking about what Psykit said about how you can transfer credits, how would that fit in with your theory about legality for Sony? And because surely credits are as much of an asset of a commander as their elite ranking, their expiration, all that stuff. It's still data within that's held in the commander.
I had a theory about this because I was thinking about this. I don't know how often accounts are transferred. What's the deal? Is it like by special request to Frontier support?
Yeah, there's a form.
Okay, so one thought I had, another fact I heard recently, which I was quite surprised about, was that apparently it costs Frontier something like £50,000 to get Microsoft and or Sony to push out an update. So, non-trivial costs. And I was wondering whether equally to get a dump of a commander's data so that they can do the transfer, whether Frontier, whether it costs Frontier, I don't know, £100 and it's enough that it's small enough that they can just do it on an ad hoc basis. But if Frontier are now looking at, 2,000 people saying, I'd like to transfer my account, please, they have to start thinking of better deals, better ways of doing that. I don't know. I'm speculating.
Yeah,
I suspect the commander data is actually on a Frontier server, not on a Microsoft or Sony one. That would be my expectation.
So what do you think? Do you think there's just a legal relinquishing of kind of account ownership or some sort of
I suspect it's just because of there's lots of different records with lots of different database keys, and they've just not written a tool to automate it because it's probably a bit of effort to write a tool to automate it because all these identifiers are probably going to be not unique across the 3 different platforms. So they'd probably have to write a tool to fix all those up and make sure all the relationships still work. Which it depends. There's a lot. If you think how much data there is to do with the commander, I mean, and how much, because you've got to sacrifice some of it. You've got things like first discoveries as well, which there could be an awful lot scattered. Sprayed around their databases, so it's like
it's a big job to transfer one commander. The thing is, I think again, this is one of the problems that Elite has got, is that it inspired a lot of people to get into development. So there's an awful lot of coders, there's an awful lot of database people, there's an awful lot of people who know how to do this stuff in their professional lives, and they're probably all there thinking, it shouldn't be that hard.
Can I interject? I had a question for Psykit while she was talking there, and I guess to anyone else that went to the Elite meet a few weeks ago as well. I do wonder how long they have known that this was going to be the way things were going to go down, and whether whether the CMs at the Elite meet already knew.
Well,
I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I think they suspected the worst, but I don't think they'd had confirmation yet.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I sorry, Colin.
No, you go first, Shan.
No, I suspect what Sai said is correct, because when I spoke to Arp about it, he knew there was something in the air, but it's more like it had been penciled in, and as she said, I think they tried a last-ditch effort to try and fix it, and then they just said, no, we can't do this. So I suspect they, a bit like us really, they kind of heavily suspected it was going to happen, but until the signature's on the page, it's not a contract, is it? So to speak. So I think they knew but didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do wonder whether or not at a later point they'll attempt to do a next-gen console, but I don't know whether or not they've said that that's it for any console development going forward.
It's unlikely to me.
Yeah,
That they will go
I
back
mean,
into that arena
they
again.
they have confirmed. Bruce Obsidian and asked if the PS5 and Xbox S versions were going to be new versions on them, and Bruce said no. But yeah, so it's a hard one to take. And here's a prime example from Shabadoon Head 89. Unfortunately for me, guys, I've watched religiously for 5 years and played about the same time. This is me signing out as a console player. They don't realize what this has done. I'm afraid to say that I do understand what this has done, because I mean, I've lost 2 MMOs, and when your game is, your MMO is sunset, that's it. It's really lost forever. I mean, some people go to a lot of effort to do their own sort of home-baked servers, but no, it's not, because all of a sudden that area where that social group that you could call upon and go and join in this little virtual playground, if you like, it's no longer there, and that really does hurt when it's taken away. And although it's still technically in maintenance mode, it will feel as if it's been taken away. And yeah, it's it's not nice. Psykit.
What have I said?
Oh no, sorry, Shan.
Well, I was going to say, I'm again, this is almost like a role reversal, because I'm trying to put a positive news to try and at least make people a bit happier, I suppose. Is I can think of many games that no longer have active content being developed, and yes, Guild Wars one of them. Other MMOs I play are others. There's no new content. They just, if a fix comes out, they'll just fix it. But it's the community, it's the people around you who play that game that make the game still enjoyable, not necessarily the content. So what I would say to console players is just, if you've got a good group of people around you, you've got a good bunch of people, then use those people, get in, do stuff together. Just treat it as a sandbox. Because yes, there won't be any new missions and stuff, any new content per se, but new content isn't the be all and end all of a game. The community is.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the problems you've got with an MMO, because it's not like in the old days, in the old versions of Elite, you could still go back to it whenever you want. I know that they have promised us when the offline mode was cancelled, they promised us that when the game is sunset, then they will hand out the server code so we can set up our own servers. But that was a promise made 8 years ago. Will we get that?
No, I wouldn't.
No, I very much doubt it. They also promised to make the Frontier First Encounter source code open source into the GPL, and that never happened.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I did remember talking to Dav Stott about this, and he said actually it's not as difficult as you think, but every time they come out with a brand new update, and this was just before Beyond, so goodness knows what it'd be like now. It said he said it was possible, so we'll just have to wait and see what unfurls there. Now, the other thing that's been happening a lot with this is, and you can see this in the chat, that there are people who think, right, that's it, writing's on the wall for Elite Dangerous. You PC owners have got, wow, I'll give you 6 months to a year. Do you think this is the beginning of the end for Elite Dangerous?
No, not yet.
No.
I don't think so. And that comes down to what we said about having a roadmap that they should have released with this, so we can think, oh, great, updates 11 come in, carrier interiors, new mission types, but we've got X, Y, Z to look forward to in the months to come, or whatever. So you need to give people a glimmer, a flickering flame of hope, so it doesn't drive down morale across the board, and they didn't do that.
No, they haven't, and I must admit, I was saying exactly the same thing as that. I think in update 2 or 3 in Odyssey, because we were getting just bug fixes and things like that, and they didn't seem to be making as much progress as we were hoping for. And we a lot of people around that time were thinking, "No, they're not going to fix it. They haven't done. They've proven us wrong with that level of fixes, because I must admit it's a lot better than it was now." So, yeah. Shan, do you want to talk about something?
No, that was about it, really.
Right.
I kind of feel this subject's kind of been done, really, and before we all go off and play Star Citizen, I think we've got a lot more show to go through.
I mean, Star Citizen's really fun, apparently, as well. I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to when I finally do have time. God damn it, Buckyball's starting next week.
Sorry.
And I've got to learn how to fly as well.
Nah, don't worry. Just 1 point club. Here we go. You still got a point if you compete. Everyone gets the point.
There is one slight thing that has come up from Kesson in IR Discord. He says, there is hope. I have found GeForce on the Xbox can stream games, including Odyssey. It's not a perfect solution, but it is possible. If they implement a proper cross progression, you don't even need a restart. Well, there you go. That's the interesting one.
I think Commander Alexa on Twitter did a really good post as well of all different options that might be available to Xbox commanders as well. That was really cool.
Excellent. Yeah. So, it is. I think we draw a line under this now. It is a horrible situation that we've found ourselves in, and they've given it a try. It's not happening, and it's either a case of we have to accept that and move on, and unfortunately, it does mean that we're probably going to have to say goodbye to a lot of people that we didn't really want to say goodbye to, because that's the way these things happen.
Yeah, and that's the biggest shame, actually, is the that dividing of the community and the loss of those people. And obviously they can stay and they can continue to hang around in Discord and chat, but it just isn't the same, is it, for them? And I get it.
Yeah. Although, admittedly, the game, it's not like the Star Wars Galaxies NGE, which meant that basically your entire old game has gone. The Horizons, as it is, still exists, and they will support it using critical patches from now on. It's just that all the kind of stuff that everyone's going to get excited about will be only available elsewhere. So, right. Okay, we're going to draw a line under that. And we're going to break it up with the in-game events of what has actually been happening in the galaxy this week. Well, on Wednesday, the 9th of March, a trial period was agreed for the Alliance Sirius Pact. This is the Sirius is being allowed 3 months to prove that they can defend the Alliance against Thargoid attacks. However, this is still controversial, as we'll see going forward. So they've got 3 months to prove that they can stop bugs from hurting hurting any Alliance systems. On the 10th of March, the CG Colonia Bridge project reached its completion, and everybody got a whole load of decals. I think I got decals, and I never even took part. So I don't know what's going on there. On Friday, the 11th of March, the Imperial Guard has now been assigned by the Emperor to personally defend the Devals. So this is the highly trained Imperial Guard who will probably specialize in non-kidnapping because they don't want to lose another Emperor to the deep freeze. However, the Hadrian Deval, or whatever his name is, what everyone thinks is going to be the next person in the line of succession, has decided to decline this because let's be honest, best way to get rid of a potential rival is have your guards actually slip the knife in when they're not expecting it. And then on Monday, yesterday. We had Riot's reaction to the Sirius Alliance Pact, and it's now beginning to make calls for independence from the Alliance. So, as part of an independent Lave organization, sure, fancy an alliance, old world alliance, perhaps, might be quite nice to have someone.
No.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
That's paid.
And there hasn't been any new news today, obviously because of extra stuff that we'll be talking about. So I think it's that time of the week again.
Store alert!
And welcome back. The store alert this week is again the Polarity skins, and this time they are on the Type 6. Yeah, I must admit I do like these Polarity skins, although the Type 6 isn't really my kind of ship, so I'll probably be giving that one a miss. Yes, and anybody this appeal to anybody?
Does it come in pink?
Does it come in pink?
Yep. Checking.
Oh,
I don't think it does.
Oh no.
So no.
Do you know, I haven't flown a Type 6 So 7 years since the game first came out, I think it was. I flew it.
Really?
Type 6. Yeah, January 2015, I think was the last time I flew a Type 6.
Last time I flew one was in the Loo Wars, smuggling.
I think I had one on an out account a little while ago to try and make some money.
Yeah.
But that was, I haven't played any of my out accounts for, probably since Odyssey came out.
So would you fly a Type 6, Colin?
I used to. Last time I flew a Type 6 was in my Power Play account. I think that would have been about 3 months ago, and I think I flew in it for about a couple of days until I could afford an ASP, and then that's it. The ASP replaced the Type 6 because you could, you basically could equip an ASP with a lot more cargo than a Type 6. And that's the point.
It comes in pink.
Oh, it does come in pink.
It comes in pink.
Well, you probably have one then.
Nah. I'm saving up for new internals for my fleet carrier.
Well, yeah. There's something that we'll touch on soon. I forgot. I am now actually in my Power Play Commander. I'm flying a Python.
A purple Python.
No, it's not a purple Python. It's actually silver, but no, white. Yeah, a white Python, and that's the first time I've actually flown that ship ever.
Really? Oh, it's such a classic.
I know it. The Python is always. I've always passed by on the Python.
It's the best mission running ship you can get.
It's amazing, the Python is.
The Python is actually my home. Like, look, I don't know if other people have this, but I have a whole fleet of ships, but they're all sort of incidental, and I use. But one of the ships is like my ship. That's my ship. That's the one I've honed, and it's home, and it's the Python.
Yeah, I've got something similar.
Mine.
My similar is an ASP Mark II. Not an ASP Mark II, but a Crate Mark II. Good grief. That is the ship that I really like flying in the most, and that's what I consider the new Sanctimonious. But I must admit, flying around in the Python, even it's only E-rated because I can't afford anything decent on it yet. But even then, I understand why, and I'm kicking myself. I will not. I'm not doubting it. I am kicking myself.
Medium pads too. How awesome is that?
I know.
Can I ask a quick pop quiz, everyone?
Okay. Not worried about this at all. Go on.
Type 6 or keelback?
Oh, I love the keelback. Keelback because you can put
Keelback's got as a feel. Keelback is the one with the flappy bits on the sides.
Yep. Ship launch fighter.
Keelback then.
Yeah, without a doubt, it might not carry as much as a T6, but it's got a ship launch fighter, and they're great.
And it's got a multi-crew seat after much campaigning. Remember the Save Keeley or whatever it was called?
Oh yeah,
that campaign, and they eventually added. And it made sense really because it does have the SLF. And just on a point of interest, Alec Turner has actually merged with his seat.
I saw that earlier. Yes, you kind of smushed into the seat there. I don't know how it looks, how I look to you, because I'm just sat up at the bar. But
Katie was floating in the air. She relogged, but she was floating in the air, like maybe 6 feet in front of her seat earlier.
Oh yes, I had a magnetic boot failure and floated up to the ceiling.
Nice one. Right. Well, I think we will take a short break. And then we'll come back with discussing, I think, Update 11 and what we think about it so far.
We buy any ship,
bar none.
We buy any ship,
bar none. Any model, any colour, any shape, any size.
We buy any ship,
bar none. We here at We Buy Any Ship, bar none are ready to take your excess space travel vehicles off your hands. No more negotiating with dodgy space station vendors. We'll simply give you an estimated quote online. Then, when you get here, we'll point out all the little dents and scratches that make the price get smaller and smaller before we actually give you any money. And the beauty is, we take any ship.
We buy any ship,
bar none. Terms and conditions apply. We Buy Any Ship excludes trading in any of the following vehicles: Adder, Anaconda, Asp, Boa, Cobra, Constrictor, Cruisers, Eagle, Falcon, Gecko, Griffin, Gear, Harris, Harrier, Hawk, Kestrel, Crate, Lanners, Lifters, Lions, Mantis, Merlin, Moray, Osprey, Panther, Puma, Python, Saker, Sidewinder, Skeet, Spar, Stowmaster, Tearsel, Tiger, Transporter, Turner, Viper, Wyvern, or any Imperial or Thargoid vessels.
This is a public service announcement from the Fuel Rats. Please stop what you're doing and pay attention. If we can rescue you, we will, but you can help us help you by following these easy steps. 1. Fly 50 light seconds or so from the system's main star and drop out of Supercruise. 2. Note down the current system and the nearest stellar body. 3. If you're on emergency life support, log out immediately. 4. Go to fuelrats.org and click Get Help. 5. Stay calm, hold your breath, and let our seasoned professionals do what they do best. The Fuel Rats. We have fuel, you don't. Any questions?
I could murder a cup of tea. Yorkshire Gold, if you have it. Double Yorkshire Gold. And if you don't have it, you're dead. Lave Radio, broadcasting to every corner of the galaxy.
Have you been missold PPI? Python Protection Insurance was missold if you didn't want it, ask for it, or need it.
I was missold Python Protection Insurance and I got a claim worth 3,000 credits.
At Cowell & McGrath, we are ready to pursue claims for pilots who were sold PPI, even though they didn't have an escape pod.
When my partner's ship was destroyed, the insurance became invalid. I settled out of court for enough credits to restart my narcotics and weapons shipping business.
Millions have been missold Python Protection Insurance they can never claim, simply because they don't have an escape pod. Why should you pay for not reading the small print?
My husband was missold PPI. As a result of our claim, we now own Jupiter.
Cowell & McGrath, turning your carelessness into profitable lawsuits.
And welcome back. Now, obviously, with all the bad news that we've had with the consoles, there has been the long-awaited update 11, which arrived today at 10 o'clock. The servers were down for a couple of hours, and at 12:30, everybody jumped into back into the game, and then wondered why it was taking so long for a fleet carrier to jump. So, yeah, we'll quickly go over some of the things that have been added in Update 8. Obviously, the big headline feature today is the interiors of the fleet carriers, which you can see everyone running around. And for those in Twitch, can all can see poor Alex Turner merge with his seat. Oh dear. It's a spectator sport now, Alec. You are going to.
It's really weird.
You're going to be a meme.
Absorbal off Turner.
Yeah. So yes, it does seem that there might be a couple of graphical glitches still to look about. So we now have in the fleet carrier we have main areas, which is of course the main concourse and the hangar lobby. The command deck for all those who are either owners or have invited them up to the special VIP area. And
I haven't been invited.
And a seated area for safe fleet carrier jumps, which I think at the moment we and the Shenanigans have 12 minutes, and Psykit has 3 minutes before we actually
2 minutes 30 seconds. Securing carrier for departure.
Ooh.
It made its big farty noise a second ago. It was great.
There are optional areas and services that you have to actually pay for. Those are the bar, the Vista Genomics, the Pioneer Supply Store, and the Shipyard Access Point, which is included with shipyard services. Now, I haven't had a chance to investigate this, but as you two have got fleet carriers, have you had to basically equip the bar and Vista Genomics and Pioneer Supplies separately, or have they been already included?
Weren't already included, no. I was missing a couple of bits from my fleet carrier anyway, and I flew to where it was parked, which was one of the fleet carrier fitting destinations, and just went bugger it and bought everything. So we now have everything on my fleet carrier, and it's great. It's great. It does all the things.
But you, Shan, you had everything.
Yeah, I parked my carrier at Panoy, I think it's called, one of the admin systems, and bought everything and cycled through crew until I got suitable crew for them. So I fired about 20 crew trying to find the right ones. I'm actually enjoying it. I mean, the decor inside is 1970s sci-fi film. To be fair, it's more.
What's wrong with Battlestar Galactica?
Well, no, it's actually worse decoration than Battlestar Galactica. I think what I would have I would have wanted to see more variation, because I think if you like the independent look, then you'll like it. But I would have liked to see a Gutamaya style interior, I think. But I mean, it's good to run around and stuff, and the jump sequence, as we'll see, is very good.
30 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, me being a bit of a fuss part, I would have wanted the crew to like salute or bow or something when I walk past. Maybe with like the Imperial theme.
Yeah, well,
something like that.
I think we were discussing this earlier. You really want a slider. You want a slider where at one end it's just people just go, all right, and at the other end is, yes, Your Majesty, come in, Your Majesty. Or maybe your own personal theme tune when you walk onto the bridge. In your case, it would be the Imperial March. I think in Psykit's case, what would your theme tune be when you walk onto the bridge, Psykit?
It's a song by Chasing Madison called Summer City.
Oh dear.
I think I'd have the Benny Hills theme.
The thing is, though, there's always more stuff they can do. I mean, for example, you can't choose the adverts on the side. It's kind of whatever it comes up with. One thing I don't know, and we'll see it when we jump, is whether the adverts change depending on if you're an Imperial system or a Federation system, or whether they'll change the adverts. So I don't know that, but I'd quite like to be able to change the uniforms as well of the crew, sort of like Imperial officer kind of crew uniforms or something like that, or the Starfleet look, because at the moment it looks like they've just gone and picked up whatever was clean in the wash basket and put it on.
Oh damn, we've missed Psykit's jump. You jumped, though, you Psykit?
Yep, jumped. It was amazing. It's always amazing. I'd queue up another one, but we'd be finished.
Yeah, I mean we've got Shan's jumping in a minute, but
not Nautilus though. Nautilus is so good.
Yeah, it's please someone look out the front window instead of looking at Shan.
Yeah,
look at it.
So the interiors. So the interiors, I quite like them. They don't add much gameplay per se, but what they do add is quite a lot of atmosphere. There's even a Sleepy Pete smuggled on my carrier as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The other thing is if you do see a carrier jump, and hopefully, actually, if you look now, the guy on the middle left is doing it. He's got a dirty great console, huge console with a keyboard, and he's faffing round with a giant iPad looking at Facebook instead of doing his work on the console. So he's going to get talking to. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
It's 33:07. No one uses Facebook now.
Well, I don't care what he's doing. He's not working because he's got a console
TikTok.
and he's not looking at it.
It's TikTok, Shan.
Well, I don't care, but when he gets up, he's being spaced because he's got a console and he's not using it. He sits there faffing around on his iPad.
How do you know it's not work related?
Because he's got a console. Why would you not use your console? Why would you want an iPad?
Well, I have to point this out. If you actually sit in the commander's seat, and Psykit knows this, is when you sit down, you have this wonderful little iPad come next to you, which just comes round, and it just looks absolutely perfect, and you can't interact with it. I thought that was a perfect thing to that would be where you could control your carrier from. But no, it's got to be controlled from the ready room, which I think is a bit of a shame.
Oh yes, there's a ready room, like a Picard ready room as well, isn't there, with tea Earl Grey hot on the desk.
That's what everybody said as soon as Psykit walked into hers. Right, order your tea.
There were like
tea.
3 of you doing it. I was like, oh my god, I should have been on that. I really should have been on that.
I like the fact in Picard, his alternative version is evil because he drinks hot black coffee. Spoiler. So, yes, looking through the rest of the patch notes while Shan's drive's beginning to spool up, we've got unfoot access to the shipyards now available, added automatically if the shipyard service is enabled. Service tariffs are now set individually, allowing control of each service's costs. Universal Cartographics and Vista Genomics do not use a tariff system. The fleet livery has been moved to the same environment as outfitting, and the fleet carrier livery now includes a number of concourse themes. Now, I expected them to be a lot more concourse and ARCs-related themes ready at launch, but no luck.
Friday, I reckon.
You reckon Friday?
I reckon we'll get a couple. Yeah, not a lot. They'll drip feed them.
I must admit, I do quite like the three of them. I now looking about, I sometimes realise what Shan's referring to. This feels more Space 1999 and UFO than it does Buck Rogers. Is that what you were referring to, Shan?
Well, it just looks like, I don't know. It's kind of cheap and nasty, and I would have wanted personally. I would have wanted a Gutamaya one. I would have wanted a Gutamaya interior.
Well, it's the Brewer Corporation. It's not Gutamaya. Right, there is a small random delay has been added to the landing pads retracting during jump prep. That sounds interesting. The fleet carrier section of the handbook has now got all the new features and how to use them. Including how to use the new bartender functionality, which does not include serving drinks. Boo, I know, but I do like sitting at the bar anyway. And the lack of notification for fleet carrier jumps until 10 seconds beforehand was fixed. So yeah, that's basically the fleet carriers, but that's not all, because not only can you sit down on a fleet carrier, you can sit down anywhere on a concourse.
In a chair.
In a chair, yes. You can't stand at a bar, you can't order a drink, but you can at least sit down. That's what you need after all that sitting down in your flight seat. But we're not going to pick hairs about that one. So what else has been happening? Well, there is now a new mission type, the new Protect mission, which asks commanders to defend against criminals attacking delivery routes. Now, these are supposed to be quite challenging, and it recommends having teammates, and it's time responsed. And because of that, these missions will pay out a lot higher than usual. So that's the new mission type. Has anybody actually seen one of these yet?
Yep.
Did you try it?
Yep, it was really fun. It's really fun. So basically, what happens is there's one of these cargo containers, which are the new model that they've put in, and you have to. I think the one that we got, we had like 17 minutes to complete it. And we flew over there, landed, and then they would send waves of enemies to like try and attack us and attack it. And there were 4 of us, and it was super simple, but it was just a lot of fun. It was like a new dynamic, a new added thing introducing. I imagine doing it as part of a single player, as like on your own, would be an absolute nightmare because they were coming from all angles, and I died once because I wasn't paying attention, but it was really fun, and it's nice to see something brought into the game which lends itself more to playing with your squad mates.
Excellent.
It's a settlement mission. It's not any kind of escort mission or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just a settlement mission. There isn't like further. Oh, it's carrying it away. So now you have the opportunity to
defend the
shoot
base
it,
kind of thing.
because that would be really, really cool. But unfortunately, not the case.
Excellent. I'm sorry. I'm just inviting everybody to a team.
Well, yeah, okay. I'm trying to work out the interest. I rebound my keys the other day, and
yeah, it's underneath all the comms in your your rotary thingy. Oh, I'm so good at explaining it, isn't I? So that was the protect missions. Oh, we've fixed an issue where the missions could be repeatedly abandoned to produce strong negative influence on the factions, which that's been something that has been highlighted quite badly over the last, I don't know how long. I'm glad they fixed that one. Fixed it. Well, what was that? It sounded like a big honk.
Yeah, the pre-departure foghorn.
Oh, I've been escorted to my designated seat.
So have I. Oh no, that's not where I wanted to sit at all.
Oh, I'm sat. I'm next to Commander Newell Turner, and I can see Mac Winston, Alec Turner's father off to his left. We've almost got a full observation deck here.
It's like Alec Turner's origin is off about a foot to the left and back of where he actually is, because he merges with every seat he sits in.
It's all the buckyballing. It's just shifted me slightly in time and space.
Is Alec Turner the icebreaker at any party by moving automatically to the left by half a foot?
I'll see if I can repeat it in LaveCon. If people buy me enough drinks, I reckon I can achieve the same posture.
Oh, I like this because they've actually got the countdown on all the walls.
It's interesting. Someone's got an Imperial Eagle parked in front of our window, and I'm just wondering what's going to happen to it.
Wait to see
what
it's
run over.
Courier, yeah. I wonder what's going to happen.
Right.
It is probably going to be ejected at high speed. We did on one of the expeditions we were doing. Which one was it? Might be in the start of the Apollo 15. Actually, we did a test. You know that thing where you can fire. I think it's one of the cannons, and if you fired at a ship which has landed, it just kind of stores the momentum. And the next thing that, next thing that touches the said ship gets flung off in a random direction at incredible velocities.
Sorry to interrupt, we've got a minute. Is it possible to get a external view of the carrier from the camera?
I don't think so. Where is Vesper M4, by the way?
On the M4?
Yeah,
it's at least 500 light years away.
Is it 500 light years away from Lave, then?
No.
Then how far is it?
I don't know, not far.
And I bet it's somewhere. I bet it's a star that's 70 light years from its nearest neighbour.
I bet you it's a blooming neutron star we can't escape from.
Shan promised he'd be nice, otherwise we wouldn't come back again.
Exactly.
Oh.
Hello.
Someone's been ejected.
This is great radio, isn't it? Us all sitting here with bated breath.
Yeah, I was going to say this is.
Well, we've got a huge lightning cloud forming. In front.
Yeah, it's quite spectacular. Yeah, I was expecting the transaction server error actually.
Oh, ye of little faith.
Hi, Crash. Thanks for the raid.
We are now dropping through the space-time continuum like a.
It's slower than normal.
Yes, like a stone through a wet paper bag.
Yeah, so we're going through the standard hyperspace cloud
with a lot more lightning. Yeah.
The exit of the lightning cloud, and eventually the ship. The sounds are absolutely amazing.
Yep, hats off to sound design team as ever. brilliant job.
And then the clouds disappear, and here we are. It's very dark outside.
I'm looking for the seatbelt signs to. There we go.
Yep.
You may now leave your seat, and I will look on the galaxy map to find out how far we have been shoved.
Yeah, that's very good.
That's
I
for
actually saw a jump
M4.
earlier this afternoon. The Bird Pit have released a lovely video of a carrier jump, which I did spoil myself and watch. And the minute I saw it, I thought, okay, I actually want a fleet carrier now.
Well, okay, Shan, it's only 107 light years. That's manageable. So.
What do you think then? For those of you've done it now, what do you think?
That was
it
pretty
worth
cool.
the wait? I think it was.
I think it was.
That was fantastic. I mean, it's what we've been wanting. I think that's exactly how it was in my head when I was there thinking, when I was stuck in my ship thinking, trying to imagine what the jump was like.
At least now, when we do the bubble to Colonia and Colonia to bubble fleet carrier trips, people can sit on board and watch.
Yeah,
which they couldn't before. I did that it's actually about this time last year. I actually did one of those with my fleet carrier. It cost $500 million in fuel. Ooh. It was phenomenally expensive, but it was good fun. I had it all booked out. I used the Spanch site, which you might know for the neutron plotter.
Mm-hmm.
Also does fleet carrier routing, so it'll give you your route, 500 light year jumps. So I measured all this out and I timed it all, and I had like a working timetable, and I actually arrived 2 minutes within 2 minutes of the time I said I would, 2 minutes ahead of time. It was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed doing it. I mean, it was queuing up jump after jump, but there were a whole bunch of people, because I advertised it in the Fleet Carriers Owners Club, which is a channel for these things, and quite a few people actually got on board, and I had advertised stops, so I stopped at a couple of the more spectacular places along the way. And people, when we got to the next rest point, people would log on and fly around a bit. And, yeah, we had a bit of fun doing it. So, although the funny thing is there's one guy who was boarding and he was rushing to get there, and he arrived in my origin system. He literally dropped in on the carrier just as the pads locked down. He literally missed landing by 5 seconds, and then had to fly 500 light years to catch me up. But yeah, it was. In fact, I think he had to do more because he had to get his exploration DBX out because he was in a Sidewinder or something. So it was it was actually surprisingly fun to do, but phenomenally expensive.
Well, looking at the other things that have been included, we've got, let's see, the fixed legal collection missions asking you to collect illicit items. They've got changed settlement mission givers compass icons to match the concourse mission icon, which that's actually useful. Corrected some incorrect text in the sabotage missions. And looking down the rest of it, they've added one of the important ones, they've fixed corpses clipping through the floor for settlements. That's always useful, especially when there have been so many murders happening in settlements lately, Psykit?
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, plausible deniability.
I didn't have to pay off like so many bounties this morning. Not me. Don't know what you're talking about.
What is your
just a bit of petty crime?
No. My notoriety is 0 because you've got to kill only the people that you're supposed to kill, or if you accidentally shoot someone, let one of your teammates finish them off and let them have the notoriety.
Okay, fair enough. Let someone else take the blame. We understand.
That sounds a bit Shanish to me.
I know. Have you been getting Shan lessons?
Look, I didn't tell him to shoot them. I just accidentally shot the person.
So you're telling me you didn't shoot the sheriff, but
No, I shot them definitely, but I didn't finish what I started. Someone else did for me out of the goodness of their heart.
Well, the AI has now managed to fix the on-foot friendly fire system, which has now been extended to include turrets, skimmers, and ships. So technically, you won't be shot by your own side. And attacking an enemy dropship can no longer cause a friendly settlement to turn hostile. That is useful, especially in a combat zone. Now, looking through the rest of the stuff. The codex has been updated. This is the first time I've seen the codex updated in quite a while. So it's had articles added about Aegis, the consortium. I've got no idea who the consortium are. Generation ships, Pilots Federation, several entities under corporations. Ishmael Palin's entry has been updated, and the Guardians have been updated as well. Tons of audio fixes, tons of art fixes, lots of rendering fixes. The UI has had some changes to the ship panel, truncation issues with the ship panel. Icon was added to the radar to display powered down recharge stations. Always useful. And this one is the most important one for me. Tons of performance and optimization ones. And right at the very bottom of that, it says, fix the spawning of mission givers for the hand-in of missions taken from a settlement. Because I have racked up at least 3 million in fines for taking these bloomin' missions from mission givers, coming back to the place, and the mission giver's not there anymore. And every time that happens, and I abandon the mission, I get fined 100,000 credits. You would have thought I would have learned, but I didn't. Obviously, server and stability stuff's gone in. They've fixed 3 issues from the issue tracker, which is fixed issue with ships not inheriting the spin of stations when undocking with flight assist off, fixed issues with not being able to collect resources from crystalline structures, and the brightness and flickering from mining ice crystal asteroids has been reduced, which is helpful for the eye strain. I'll certainly admit that. And just to prove a point, Horizons has had some updates to keep it in line with this. So the fleet carrier tariffs have been made backwards compatible with the Odyssey stuff. Stability fixes, incorrect string when selecting the multi-limpet controller and outfitting. Hairstyles are displaying incorrectly in HoloMe was been fixed. The crew voices changing upon relaunch has been fixed. Fleet carrier nameplates and a lack of notification about the fleet carrier jumps in 10 seconds was also fixed. So small fixes for Horizons just to keep it in line, which does seem to be the way that's going forward. So overall, I'm going to quickly go around. Shan, what's your first impression of Update 11? Is it? I mean, no, it's not the Jesus patch that everybody has been wanting, but surely a step in the right direction.
It is. I don't think anyone expected it to be the Jesus patch. To be fair on it, actually, it's good for mucking around in. I haven't done the mission types, and I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at the mission types. You know, the supply line ones they talked about. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at those.
I literally talked about it like half an hour ago, Sam.
Yeah, she just did.
No, okay, sorry, just long day. Anyway, I'm actually quite positive about it. I mean, it would be good to have more social variety in it, other than just sitting down and, you know, to be able to customize the interior more. And I'm kind of hoping that's going to come. But as a starter, yeah, not bad.
Excellent. Mac, have you had a chance to form an opinion of Update 11 yet?
Hold on, let me turn my microphone back on. Yeah, not quite yet, because, well, all I've done really is sort of hang around Shan's carrier. The carrier jump was brilliant. I loved it. Performance seems fine on what I've seen so far, which is quite limited, really. undocked from a station, flown around a bit, and flown to a carrier. But there had, at least it doesn't appear there's been any regressions. I think the feature list is, I mean, it's quite expensive. Each update is an incremental update. I was never expecting like the Jesus patch, but it is quite a big one, having the carrier interiors, and they have put a bit of work into them. So it is nice to see, and the unexpected bonus of being able to sit down at the bar. Nice for screenshots, I guess. But yeah, it's nice. It's all going in the right direction, and yeah.
So you're going to be Norm in my carrier's bar then? Just to sit down and just. It was Norm, wasn't it? In Cheers. He just sat at the bar all day and.
Yeah, I just sat down at the bar. And when I sit at the bar, and I went to the external camera. I look a little bit sort of maybe the worse for wear. Like I've had a few too many already.
I must admit, I don't know what it is about Elite Dangerous commanders, but when you actually look at your commander in the F1 with the external camera, I don't think I've ever seen a happy commander. They all look really miserable, as if they're suffering from trap wind. Or they're looking over the co-pilot going, "Was that you?"
No, it was the dog. Yeah, I don't know, because they did the thing is they did do that kind of faint smile in the portraits. If you'll notice in Odyssey, if you're not wearing the default flight suit, if you look at yourself and the station services or whatever, you've got this. And on some commanders' faces, it kind of looks okay. It looks like a slight wry smile, but on others, it looks like there's one or two. But back in sort of around when Odyssey released, people posted a few screenshots, and some of them it really did look like a who farted face.
They're just all completely gormless, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've now had a serious look at my commander, and I've come to the conclusion my commander looks like Hank from King of the Hill. So I'm going to have to, redo my commander now, because basically once you've seen it once, you've got to change it. It'll haunt you forever. Yeah. Hashtag it was Ben that farted. Yeah, Alec. Have you had a chance to form any opinion about Update 11 so far?
Yeah, very little. I mean, I only installed it just before the show, and like Mac, I've just been hanging around on Shan's fleet carrier. The only thing slightly concerning, so I have a fairly serious problem with Odyssey at settlements, which is that I think it's the CPU load, but it goes through the roof, and it basically prevents things like my head tracking software, and I also run joystick curves, and it prevents both of those bits of software from running. And what I have seen a few times while I'm just flying around outside the carrier here is the same thing, where I'll do a roll or something, and then I'm basically stuck in the roll, and my joystick isn't responding at all because CPU load has gone through the roof, and my joystick curve software isn't responding anymore. So a bit concerning.
Right. So, I mean, what CPU are you running?
It's old. I mean, it's an i5 4690, I think.
Oh, right. So it's not that's absolutely fine for Horizons, isn't it? So
yeah, it is.
You'd expect
but I mean,
a bit of cooling.
I mean, since Update 9, Odyssey's been completely unplayable for me. I've been back in Horizons because I can't land at a settlement. It just freezes my PC. So I vaguely hope, I haven't tested it yet, I will do soon, but I vaguely hope this update might change something in that regard. But having seen my loss of controls at this fleet carrier, I'm not optimistic, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, okay, that just leaves Psykit. I mean, you've played it more than any of us.
I think so, probably, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Okay, so I've got a couple of things that I absolutely adore. I love how when the fleet carrier jumps, I love that with the sound and the way that it moves and all of that, you really get like this full feeling about how girthy it is. It is clearly a big thing moving through space.
Yes,
Which I think
you do get the impression that it is forcing its way through hyperspace, don't you?
Yeah, it's like this is clearly not an easy thing for me to do as a ship, that kind of thing, and I like that. I like that she has weight in this galaxy, and that's really cool. I think they've done an amazing job with that. I really enjoy. I really, really, really appreciate all of the updates, all of this that has been done. I think it looks amazing. The thing that I have found that I really appreciated more than anything is the fact I've been able to turn my graphics up a touch. And this was like, so I updated my motherboard and my CPU and all of that, and that was great, and that was going some way to helping out with being able to stream Odyssey. But I found myself leaning back towards Horizons a lot of the time, just because Horizons wasn't as intensive.
Yeah.
Now, today, it really felt to me like there was barely any frame loss or anything like that, and it felt like a much more optimized and stable game, and that I'm more thankful for than any of the other stuff that they've put in, although the other stuff is really bloody cool.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I did have some slow frame rate issues on the fleet carrier, but that normally happens when you have a lot of players in the same instance, and that was certainly true around there. But walking around the fleet carrier before everybody got there, it was smooth as silk. I mean, we're talking 40 to 50 FPS on an old 1050 graphics card. So, that's
it just feels lovely. It feels like, to me, that I think I said today, can you imagine if they'd released Odyssey in this state?
Oh,
how much more positive everyone would have been.
Without a doubt. I mean, that is one of the things that it keeps on reminding me of No Man's Sky and of Fallout 76. It's needed this time to bake, and it's needed this time for people to test properly in its environment. It's getting there, I think. I mean, I've got to the point where I'm really enjoying just pottering about in Odyssey, not just grinding for the next engineering thing. I'm just enjoying it, full stop. But I think it needs. I still think it needs a little bit more space stuff and food stuff linked up. But
agreed, absolutely, I agree with you entirely there.
But I think they're getting there. So, I mean, that's what my impression of this is, that yes, it's a step in the right direction, and please continue walking in that direction.
You can sit in that direction if you so please.
True, and you can sit at that direction as well. So now if they can make the barman give us drinks and make sure that they have sippy cups in zero-G environments, I think that would keep everybody happy. God, can you remember when the only controversy about Odyssey was the fact that the zero-G environments weren't done properly?
I mean, was that ever the only controversy, Colin? Was it?
You'd be surprised.
Those are very rose-tinted glasses that you're looking at Odyssey with right there.
Yeah, I seem to remember a few more controversies.
Just a few more. A few more people weren't happy.
No, I just remember Ben and Sue getting really, really mad about that before all the performance issues really hit, and going. That was the only thing that they were worried about. It was just something that was really funny looking back at it at the time.
You mean connectivity issues? That's the only thing there was at the launch, was connectivity issues, don't forget.
That's true.
That's true as well. Well, we're going to move on from update 11
Hold on, Colin.
Oh, okay, Shan.
I've just been reminded of one thing that is missing from Odyssey.
Here we go.
And that is e-scooters in the hangar bays. Because if you have a big ship, it takes forever to walk from the ship to the dock. So I want an e-scooter.
Doesn't that mean that you also need those in your ship as well? You need a special 1-ton compartment just for e-scooters. That,
Well, you 3D print them like fighters.
But then you see this e-scooter bay.
Yeah. Well, e-scooters aside, the community corner for this week. First off, we'll start off with Commander Grippy Gecko's charity stream for the Macmillan Cancer Support. Psykit, you've got details on this one, have you?
I see streaming right now over at twitch.tv/GrippyGecko. It's not Elite that he's streaming because he was going to stream some Elite today, but the servers went down and the update happened like mid his stream, so unfortunately not able to. But he is raising money for Macmillan, who are an amazing, amazing cancer charity in the UK. Absolutely phenomenal. I love them to pieces.
Cool. Now, this Friday and Saturday, Team Dangerous will be raising money for the Ukrainian Crisis Fund through http:/care.org. It's a 24-hour relay of your favourite streamers, including Psykit, and it will be kicking off at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. So if you want to join in and throw some money that way, that's always a good starting place. The Burr Pit have created a wonderful video called Fighting Fuel for Sally. Fighting Fuel for Sally? Yes, that's right. Yeah. We're not going to show it here, but we are going to include it in the show notes, as all the proceeds from every video that's shown will be donated to the amazing charity Safe in Our World, of which Sally is an ambassador. It's a really nice video. Funnily enough, it's full of pink.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Yes, so we thoroughly recommend that you go click on that YouTube link and help.
And make sure that you have all of your ads enabled and you have all of that stuff. Turn off your ad blocker and go and watch it.
Yes. What she said. Right, going forward from there, on Saturday, Elite Aid Ukraine is starting another 24-hour stream at 12 o'clock UTC. So that's 24 hours of live streams in aid of the Ukraine Fund. We'll have details of the documents attached in the show notes, so if anybody would like to have a look at that. And of course, with all the controversy with the console cancellation, the streamers have been out. The streamers and content creators have been out in force. There's tons of stuff on this from Obsidian Ant and also from Ghost Giraffe. I'd always recommend a good Ghost Giraffe stream. There's Yamix as well, but I think that's. Yeah, and of course there's good old Black Sky Legion. They normally do something on that, and I'm looking forward to what the Loose Screws have got lined up for us about the controversy, because it was a bit of a shock, because David Braben made the announcement and they were recording the show I think an hour later. So yeah,
good show, worth a listen. That one.
It was. So right. I think, has anybody got any other business they'd like to bring up? Because I do know, I do know there's one person here we got on specifically to talk about something. Can't remember who it would be.
I think it was Alec.
You think it was Alec? Okay.
Yeah, because it was important.
Quick plug, quick plug. And I tell you what, this is open to console players as well. So.
Yeah.
So there you go.
You had the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes at least, Alec. Go for it.
I thought I was going to have to talk really fast. I thought you were going to say 5 seconds. Yep, second race in the Magic 8 Ball Championship, race number 2. This is a reboot of the Aquarian Job, which was a race we first ran back in 3305, I think. So, first race, people went round and round Pareco, so everyone now knows how to fly in through mail slots fast, and we all know how to land fast. So in this race, we take it to the next level. What you have to do is fly to a system where you land at a planetary base. So you need to figure out how to land on planets fast. And then from that planet, you fly to another planet where you then have to deploy the SRV at least 8 kilometers from one of those little mini settlements that's got a beacon you can scan.
Right.
So there's a nice bit of terrain sort of mapping involved where you need to find yourself a good place to land that gives you a fairly smooth drive for those 8 kilometers, and it's very interesting terrain around there. So you drive the 8 kilometers, you scan the beacon, you then have to drive 5 kilometers away from the beacon, and then recall your ship and then fly back to the start line. I think it's also worth mentioning this race, what we have at this race, which we didn't have the first time we ran it, is we actually have a buckyball tourist beacon on the planet.
Cool.
Right next to the beacon where you have to land, because the race has a little bonus, which is that if you can land your ship back at the finish line with only 1% hull remaining, you get a 1-minute time bonus. There's actually a sliding scale, so if you land with less than 60%, you get 10 seconds or something, and less than 20%, you get 30 seconds. But yeah, if you can land on 1% hull, you get a 1-minute time bonus.
Lovely.
And what happened the first time round was that an absolute legend, Commander Tanik Seldon, he basically pounded his ship down to like the last 10% or something, and then did the SRV section. And when he recalled the ship came in and exploded, leaving him stranded in the SRV. And what he did, the absolute legend, is that instead of just self-destructing and, starting again, he decided he would drive the SRV to the nearest planetary port, pick up a replacement ship, and complete his run. There is only one planetary port on this planet, and it is on the exact opposite side of the planet from this beacon. So Tanik Seldon then spent the next 5 days driving halfway around the planet in his SRV, and then picked up a new ship, flew back to the finish line, and completed his run in something like 5 days, 4 hours, 5 minutes, and 10 seconds.
And came in 7th.
Absolute legend, and that got written up into one of the longest tourist beacons I think I've ever seen in the game.
Wow. I mean, that is astonishing.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, him doing that was basically what inspired me to start the Planetary Circumnavigation Club, because it had never really occurred to me that you could do that. And it was like, oh, wow, you could actually drive around a planet. That's interesting. And it really hadn't occurred to me until he did that was possible.
I mean, I must admit, that's I've seen a lot of people think it's possible to supercruise between one star system and another, even though we know it's not. But I suppose the same mentality was there. You can't drive all the way around a planet. Turns out you can.
And it turns out, things like planetary ports that are, there's no. It's interesting, but there's no sort of instancing when you're driving around a planet. There's not like jumping in and out of glide. It's just, I guess, pulling in what it needs of the terrain for the next 100 kilometers in front of you, and everything sort of happens very smoothly and naturally. So it's really awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend that people do it that way, though, for the coming week.
No, we've got one commander who's decided to do that to come right at the very bottom of the board.
Yeah, it's quite a long drive. I think it's something like 9. No, hang on. It's 20. Something like 2,700 kilometers to go halfway around, I think.
Yeah. Well, that's excellent.
But yes, race starts Saturday and runs till the following Sunday. Details in the usual places.
Excellent. And of course, I think Psykit, you're definitely going to have a go.
I mean, 1 Point Club, here I come.
Go for it.
You've got the buckyball bug now, haven't you?
I bloody love it. I'll be doing it all week next week. I can't wait. Yo,
Psykit, if you want someone to shoot your hull down to 1%,
I'm pretty sure that's going to be flat round upon.
I will gladly help you out.
Oh, that would involve me letting you into my private group, and that ain't going to happen.
I'm trustworthy. But I'll tell you, I'll invite you into my private group, and then I'll shoot you down to 100.
No, thank you.
What was that about a scorpion and a frog? Yeah, I'm sure it's something along those lines. Anyway, Psykit, who is on Flight Assist this week?
Well, let me tell you who is on Flight Assist this week. It is legitimately one of my favourite episodes that we've done. No offence to everyone else, you were all brilliant, but Commander Tokuso is absolutely fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
it is such a good episode.
I know, 2 hours long, just talking to Mr. Music Man. It's unbelievable.
It's so much fun. I implore you to go and have a listen, because I don't think we get to hear him a lot. We get to hear his music a lot,
yes.
but we get to hear him, and I think that's a good thing. And there are little bits of his new stuff in there as well, which is also, it's Tokuso. It's amazing.
Excellent. Right. Well, has anybody else got any other business before I wind up with the shout-outs? Nope. Okay. Let's start with, Commander Lave has made the Commander's Handbook, which is a bot for Discord, and is currently on the Lave Radio Discord server. We'll put a link in the show notes for this. The handbook is designed to be a good starting point for new players and quick access for all the things experienced players look up constantly. It's not a complete encyclopedia for Elite Dangerous, but it is a good starting point. Right. Our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, it broadcasts on a Thursday from 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv/Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We also give shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So that's Allograb AM, Black Sky Legion, Canon Podcast, the Elite Cast for Spanish speakers. There's the Fatherhood Podcast, Flight Assist, The Guard Frequency, Loose Screws, Squeaky and Fuel, and System Chat. And of course, we also have the Data Sleep podcast, which is a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books when Station Commander Alan Stroud actually has some time. Now, following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest that's provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And just let me say thanks to everybody who's chipped in on the Twitch chat, and especially to all the in-game commanders that joined both Psykit and Shan. We have Commander Van Otter, Mother 666, Miggles, Silvestri, Soccer, Void Flames, and as Psykit's carrier we had Alexei, Katie Yana. Is that right?
Yeah, well done, Colin. So proud of you. You're growing, man. You're growing.
Condescending in one. And this is what gets me, is enthusiastic condescending in one statement.
Condescending encouragement is what I like to call it.
Chib and East Riding. Thanks for that, Chris. That's always useful. So we have to say special thanks to the aforementioned Commander Tokuso, JN Tracks, and Alan Stroud, who have created music that we use in this show. And that is it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at laveradio, and you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to hang out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So thanks to Psykit, thanks to Shan, and special thanks go to Commander Mac Winston and Commander Alec Turner for joining us today. And special thanks, of course, goes to today's tech specialist, which I do believe is Commander Ventura. So, until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
having orange inserted. Need a safe word.
Space can be loaded.
I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Like and subscribe.
Galnet News Digest, 15th of March, 3308. We read the news, so you don't have to. In this week's news, we look at the new fleet carrier interiors while perching on a bar stool. And we check up on the state of the galaxy.
Those mobile starports known as fleet carriers became significantly more useful today after the lifts to the social area were finally repaired, allowing commanders to hop out of their ships and explore the initially rather dull social space, which consisted mainly of a couple of corridors and a lot of service suspended signs. Right at the far end, there's a viewing gallery, and if you're teamed or winged with the fleet carrier owner, or if you're the fleet carrier owner yourself, you can access the mezzanine viewing area, look down the necks of the pilots, who seem to have all had plastic surgery since this morning, and sit in the VIP lounge off to one side of the bridge. There's a screen there for the captain to schedule fleet carrier jumps, and right in the middle of the mezzanine there's the extra specially comfy chair for the captain to sit in whilst the carrier is jumping. And sit you can, in seats, on benches and on bar stools, as long as they're not already in use. This ability to bend in the middle and apply your bottom to a padded surface is something Pilots Federation members have been demanding ever since they were allowed to disembark, and a great chorus of approval rang round the galaxy as commanders plonked themselves down. There is a limitation though. You're only allowed to sit on one seat at a time, something that has sparked disquiet among those who, while admitting they can't actually sit on more than one seat at a time, have demanded the right to do so, in principle. The process of jumping in a fleet carrier finally allows commanders to view a fleet carrier-sized witch space tunnel from inside. It looks quite like a normal hyperspace tunnel, but with added black smoke and lightning. The owner of each fleet carrier can apparently now add a theme to the shopping mall inside their carrier. It's not yet clear if these will include abandoned Aztec City, the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, sleazy jazz club or kids' ball pool, or will just be colours like the outside. We can only hope. The services that can be equipped include a bar, a Vista Genomics service desk, a Pioneer supplies store, and a shipyard access point. If you already have a shipyard installed, the shipyard stall is there automatically, But if you want to equip your fleet carrier that's at Beagle Point with Vista Genomics or any of the other services, you'd better stock up on tritium and get ready for some jumping. Talking of jumping, owners were finding an extra 30-minute delay added to fleet carrier jumps today. This is apparently because all the fleet carriers were wanting to jump at once, and there's only so many holes you can rip in space-time before the entire universe collapses in upon itself, like an abandoned 9th birthday party balloon. So, be patient. Jump times will return to normal very soon.
With the NMLA destroyed and ACT disbanded and with the Colonia Bridge complete, what is there left for us to worry about in the galaxy? In the Federation, President Hudson's wanting to be permitted to stand for election for a third term as president in 3309. He emphasises that standing for election doesn't mean winning, but he wouldn't be standing if he didn't think he was going to win, would he? In the Empire, the newly restored Emperor Arissa has arranged for her personal guard to protect the remains of the Duval and Livigny bloodlines, following the NMLA assassinations of the previous 18 months. Only Hadrian Duval and his infant son Hector Mordanticus refused the Emperor's offer. Those pesky traitors, the Lords of Restoration, are still locked up. The Emperor doesn't seem to know what to do with them. In the Alliance, the Riort Mining Coalition is considering leaving the Alliance rather than risk having Sirius Navy occupy their systems again. If this happens, and there's every sign that it might come to a head as early as Thursday, then Prime Minister Mann's plans to get Sirius to defend him from the massive Thargoid invasion that he seems to think is coming may be thrown into doubt. That massive Thargoid invasion, such as it is, seems to be a bit bogged down in the mud. The two remaining incursions in the Witchhead Nebula in Lembas and Wellington are marginal, and of the two remaining incursions in the bubble, Gabia has almost been cleared, and only Melanges, where no starports were attacked, still has a significant level of incursion. There is still one huge story lurking in the background. Aegis remains on the point of being wound up for good, and Admiral Aidan Tanner remains under threat of court-martial. But Salvation still hasn't come good on his promise on the 15th of December last year to deliver a final solution to the Thargoid threat. In fact, we've heard nothing at all from Salvation this year. We know that the Federation, Empire and Alliance navies are allowing their personnel to work for Salvation. And we know that Admiral Tanner's trial was halted while the Federation considered the information Engineer Ramtar revealed about Salvation's superweapon. But of Salvation himself, the person who claimed that in 3308 a decisive blow would be dealt against the Thargoids, there has been nothing. Nor has there been any further information about Azimuth Biochemicals, the company that discovered Thargoids and Guardians 200 years ago, and that 4 years ago was conducting chimera vivisection experiments in an attempt to get humans to fly Thargoid ships. We now know that it was Azimuth that sabotaged the Aegis megaship Alexandria and looted 400,000 tons of Guardian technology, leaving the crew of the Alexandria to die. Is Salvation a hero or a villain? Is Azimuth going to come back to give us more nightmares? Will we ever get to meet a Thargoid face to face? Whatever happened to the Panther Clipper? The galaxy holds as many unanswered questions as ever.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to.
McCrell on 107.8 Black Diamond FM.
Hello out there, Commanders, and welcome to Algarab AM. I'm your host, Commander I Flip the Switch, and this is your one-stop shop for everything there is to do in the wide world of Elite Dangerous, the Algarab system, and, a little bit of...
Welcome to the Fatherhood News Podcast. Please follow us here and subscribe to us on YouTube for your daily news headlines of all the news from the fatherhood space in Elite Dangerous.
Sit back, turn the ship over to your COVAS and relax. We're turning on flight assist. 07 Commanders and welcome in. My name is Commander Psykit.
We read the news so you don't have to.
Someone's got to keep you fuckers in check.
I can't believe I did that.
Did I ever mention that Shan reminds me of Zippy off Rainbow?
Never ever do that again. My face hurts from the amount of cringe that just happened here.
Like and subscribe.